Wow. There we go. That's better. Hey. Yeah, keep on saying that the wireless connection is kind of funky. I'm going to hang out here for a minute. I'm going to see if I can get it up on my iPad to make sure that I am there and that you guys can see me. Hello. Welcome to Monday. Let me go with that lipstick on my teeth. I put it on too fast. This brand takes a minute to dry. And keep getting on my teeth. I guess I need to check in advance before I go live, but I'm here and I'm live and I see myself on my iPad. So we have a 3-minute grace period. It is a new month, a new beginning, the month of August. So I hope you guys had a fun and fabulous July, and now here we are in the month of August. So in the month of August, I am going to be talking about building systems that support the vision. Let me make sure this clean. Wrong side. Yeah, that's better. Building systems that support the vision. Building systems that support the vision. So whatever vision that you have, you want to try to build some systems that will support that. We got 1-minute grace period. If you're watching the replay, put #replay. Even if you're watching the replay, like and share. I would appreciate getting this out to your business besties or anybody that you know that is in business in the marketplace, or anybody that you know that is in a nonprofit area, or even in ministry, because these tips are really good for people that are in ministry, especially people that are starting small ministries and people that are in ministries that are not a part of big associations or organizations, because they kind of come alongside you and help you. And what my husband and I do, we come alongside ministry, marketplace, and marriage under the McCurry Ministries International and help you guys. But today I am here for Monday Marketplace Mantel. So for you all that don't know, I am Teresa McCurry, the CIO's Chief Inspirational Officer of Super T Inspires. And I'm also the co-founder of McCurry Ministries International. With my husband, Apostle Gregory McCurry, and myself, we help fivefold ministry leaders. We do trainings, workshops, seminars. We can come to your church and help you in that capacity. We also have ministry. So if you are let's say a women's ministry or a community outreach ministry, we come along and help you guys too. And we do marketplace. Hey, Michelle, thank you for tuning in. Michelle, I don't know if you know, we have a training on the 5th Saturday this month. It's going to be at the Beechwood Library. And we have somebody coming in that's a dream master. She's going to help you interpret your dreams and help you navigate through that dream process in the spiritual realm. So I'm really excited about that. Her name is Apostle Angel Foyt, and we will be doing that workshop in Cleveland, Ohio on the 29th of this month. All right, so there's my introduction. Let's dive right into our topic for today. So our topic for today is creating repeatable processes. The theme for the month of August, happy new beginnings, because the number 8 is a number of new beginnings. I feel like the Lord said in my spirit this morning that there was going to be new beginnings for so many people. So old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. So if you are in ministry, if you're in the marketplace, if you're in the nonprofit space, just know God is saying during this time, during this season, it's a new beginning. And what does a new beginning look like? A new beginning looks different for everybody. Hey, Shawana Mack, how's it going? Welcome. A new beginning looks different for everybody. So in that new beginning, my topic for today is building systems that support the vision. Because if you have a vision, it's so important to build systems that will support it. And then that's the overarching theme for the month of August. So the next, I think it's five Mondays in August as well. So I'll be coming on here 5 Mondays, 12:30. Monday Marketplace, Mantel. So in that, the foundational scripture that I'm going to be talking about is 1 Corinthians 14 and 40. 1 Corinthians 14 and 40. Let all things be done decently and in order. So whatever you're doing, you want to do it decently and in order. You don't want to be all over the place trying to take care of your business, run your nonprofit, run your ministry. You want to do all things decently and in order. So when doing all things decently in order, I try to come on here every Monday and give you some tips, give you some prophetic strategies, give you some practical tools to help you do what you're doing better. That's all. I just want to come alongside you and help you out. So today we're talking about creating repeatable processes. Creating repeatable processes. So systems create consistency. Because if I have a system, if I have a way of doing it, that creates consistency. And repeatable processes create sustainability. Because if I can keep repeating the process, that'll help me to sustain in the business, the ministry, the nonprofit, whatever it is I'm doing. So if your organization depends on one person's memory, if your organization depends on one person's memory, it cannot grow effectively. If your organization depends on one person's memory, it cannot grow effectively. So I can't have everything in my head and expect to build a team. So if I'm going to build a team, I need to have systems and processes in place so I can delegate what needs to be done and then give them an assignment on how to do that task. So point number 1, document how tasks are completed. So you want to document how tasks are completed. So if you do not document, you cannot duplicate it, because you're going to do it one way and then I'll do it another way and then somebody else will do it another way. Now you want to put the details down. You don't have to have every process like a checklist, just a generality, because you want people to do things in their personality and you want them to do things in their flavor. But if I document how things are done, it's more likely to be repeated. I remember when I had my salon and spa back in the early 90s, and as we were documenting different things, I would tell my team, I don't care how you do it, I need you to hit A, B, and C, and then I need you to get to this bottom line. So as long as you hit A, B, and C and get to this bottom line, you can jump, you can hop, you can skip, you can moonwalk, you can text, you can email, you can snail mail, however you do it, as long as you get to that bottom line, and then we good. So that's what you call a macro manager. So I am a macro manager. I don't want to tell you every little detail, but I think I told you guys before, some people need micromanaging. And so if I find that you need micromanaging, I have to come out of my comfort zone, which is macro managing, and then begin to micromanage you. So just knowing that documentation creates continuity when team members change. So I don't know about y'all, but in our ministry, over the last 15 years when my husband and I were pastoring at New Beginnings Ministries, we had various people in different positions frequently, because things were shifting and you had to shift things as it relates to people's skill set. You had to shift things as it relates to people's availability. So when you have things documented, they can always go back and look at that document and know how to move forward. So that's just so important. Great organizations don't rely on memory. They rely on the documented process. So you can't, because what I find when you're relying on memory and you're relying on something orally to be spoken to somebody, you'll forget some crucial points. When you're telling your story, like they said, when things happen, ideally in a dream, Michelle, since we were just talking about Dream Masters, in a dream, if I don't get up when I dream something and write down most of the things that happen in a dream, as the day progresses, I'll forget what it was. So if you document the process, you know how it worked. So document lead generation, document your client onboarding as it relates to business. In ministry, document ministry operations, document volunteer follow-up, the worship service, how it should go. If you're planning a certain event, you want to have all of that documented so you can just go back to that document and read over it and see how we did. Okay, we sent out the flyers at least 120 days in advance, inviting people to speak. After that, we started the marketing process, and the marketing should go out at least 90 days in advance. After that, then we need to make sure we have vendors, and the vendors should go out 60 days in advance. And after that, we should make sure we have all the volunteers in place, and that should happen 30 days in advance. After that, 2 weeks before the event, we need to make sure that we confirm with everybody and everybody is on the same page. So if I have that document, and I could just pull out that document, look at it, plug in the dates for that particular event, and then that way we can be on time, we can be on schedule, everything can happen smoothly, right? So if I have a nonprofit organization, I want to document the donor acknowledgement. I want to acknowledge that you donated some money to me, right? If I have a grant reporting, that just reminded me, we had a grant report due today. Actually, it was due on Friday with my nonprofit organization. So I'm the founder. I have a president, a vice president. I have a whole board and everything. So it's on the calendar. It popped up that this grant report was due on the 31st. So I reached out to the vice president because the president is on sabbatical. I'm telling y'all this story for a reason. Follow me. So the president is on sabbatical because she's been working on all these projects and she just needed to take a break to refresh. Does everybody know about taking a break? Does everybody know about taking a sabbatical? Does everybody know about refreshing? Put refreshing, refresh, rest, something like that in the chat, because when you are doing the work that God calls you to do, in the Bible, he took he took a sabbatical, right? They say on the seventh day he rests. So every quarter or every 6 months, or at least once a year, you need to unplug, reset, and rest. You need to hear from God and find out what direction does he want you to go in so you can be the best version of yourself, to be empowered to do the work. So I said all of that to say, thank you, Michelle. I said all of that to say, so the president was on sabbatical, so I know she normally oversees that process. So I reached out to the vice president. I'm like, did anybody do the report? And the vice president, her skill set is not digital, so she's older. I'm in my late 50s. She's in her I want to say she's in her late 60s. So she's not all that computer savvy and stuff. So she's like, well, Teresa, I wasn't supposed to do it. I said, I understand. So when the president was on sabbatical, who had to do the report? I did. I was planning to do something else this morning after I got that call. I had to V-line back home, get that report done so we can continue to do the funding. But what made it easy, I had systems in place. So the cool part was I just needed to find the report from last year. And once I found the report from last year, or actually last quarter, because we report on this money that we get. Hey, Celeste Terry, thank you for tuning in. Talking about the grant funding process and the reporting that is due. So then I was able to get that report done and submit it in. So it's very important. So choose one task you perform regularly and write it down. So that's the practical tips, because every time I come on here, hey, Miss Cross, how are you? Every time I come on here, I want to give y'all practical tips as well. I just don't want to give you information. If you really want to grow and carry your marketplace mantle effectively, I want to give y'all some tools, some tricks, some strategies that you can put in place today, not tomorrow, today. So today you can write down the task that you do on a regular basis. You want to have 4 different points as it relates to that task. 1, you want to know the purpose of the task. Why am I doing this task? Then you want to report the step-by-step process for the task. Then the tools or resources needed to complete the task. And then the expected outcome of a task. And when you do that, those 4 things, I'm going to say them again. You want to choose one task that you perform regularly and write it down. After you write it down, what is the purpose of the task? And then you want to write the step-by-step process of the task. Then the tools or the resources that are necessary to complete the task. And then after that, the expected outcome for the task. So what am I going to get out of this task? And once you write those 4 things down, then you're ready for point number 2. Point number 2 is build SOPs. Build standard operating procedures for everything that you do in your ministry, everything that you do in your business, Everything that you do in your nonprofit organization, there should be some SOPs. And most likely for the important things that you do, right? Standard operating procedures is a written guide that explains how the task should be completed. So those 4 points I gave you. And point number 1, the SOP is point number 2. SOPs improve quality and reduce mistakes and save time. Because if you were to do something, and let's say you have an annual event, if you were to do something and you have this annual event and you have to recreate the wheel every time you have the event, that takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. But if I have a piece of paper, a SOP, a standard operating procedure, and I can tap into that SOP, and then I can start from where the framework that was already created. So as I am building systems that support the vision, it makes life easier for me and easier for all parties involved. In my head, I'm hearing everybody involved. It makes the process easier. So if I can make the process easier, I want to do that. They create consistency regardless of who performs the task. So if time has gone on and the vice president or the president wasn't able to do it and I had to step in and do it, or the executive director had to step in and do it, whoever had to step in and do it, we can go back and look at that SOP and say, you know what, this is how we should do it. So as you're taking care of your business, it is so important to put some processes and procedures in place. You know what? Successful businesses have everything in writing somewhere. And with the computer nowadays, I don't know about y'all, I've been in business for over 35 years. We used to have big, thick manuals. Anybody remember big, thick manuals? And then you had to go through the manual book to find the tab, to find the whatever it is that you were looking for. Now you can just put it in the computer. You can put it in the search bar. Bing! That'll come up for you. So it has made the task that much easier with us living in the information age with computers and technology and AI at our fingertips. So use the tools to benefit what you're doing as you're working. Use the tools to benefit you. Use the tools to help to make you successful. So that's why we want to use those tools. So SOPs, you can create, I have some points down here for in business. You can create SOPs for answering customers' inquiries. You know, a lot of times when you're looking online, it says, what is it? Frequently asked questions, FAQ, frequently asked questions. You can create an SOP for that. For scheduling appointments, for processing transactions. In ministry, you can create an SOP for welcoming first-time visitors, for planning conferences and outreach services, for managing communications within the ministry. For a nonprofit, you can create an SOP for processing donations. How does that work? You can create one for community outreach and program reporting. I told y'all we had to do that grant report. Well, I did. I had to do that grant report today. But since I already had a copy of it, I was able to copy and paste a few things and then just update some of the questions that they were asking. So create an SOP template. And how do you create an SOP template? Here are 5 things that I want y'all to think about for the SOP template. 1 is the purpose. Number 1 is the purpose. Somebody put that in the chat. Y'all work with me today. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's another 4. No, 5. It's 5 points for that. So 1, every SOP should answer these questions. 1, the purpose. Why do we do this? The purpose. Why do we do this? Next, it should say who. Who is the responsible person? Who's responsible for this task? If it's not me, then who? So who's responsible for reporting the finances? That would be the treasurer. Who's responsible for how the organizational structure is set up? That's the COO, Chief Operating Officer. What's the purpose? And then after the purpose, who is responsible? Who's responsible for this? Even if I'm going to assign these tasks to a VA is a virtual assistant. Even if I'm going to assign these tasks to the VA, hey, Brother Keith, good to see you. If I'm going to assign these tasks to a VA, I still need to say the VA is responsible for it, even if it's for a short time period, because until I get an employee, the VA virtual assistant will take care of that. So the purpose and then who's responsible. Then the next thing you want to ask yourself is when. When should it be completed? When should it be completed? The report that I was telling y'all about earlier today, it should have been completed on the 31st. Thank you, Jesus, for grace. So we had a grace period and I was able to complete it today. But when should it be completed? Even the example that I gave you guys earlier, if I'm planning an event, I want to plan out some things 120 days in advance, some things 30 days in advance, 60, all the way down to 2 weeks before the event. And then what are the exact steps? No, how. So we got purpose, who's responsible, when should it be completed, how, what are the exact steps? How should I do this process? How should I go through this? How should I do it? So 1 is the purpose. Why do we do this? Why are we doing this? Why are we creating this SOP and what is it for? Who is responsible for it? When should it be completed? So some things are time sensitive, some things are not time sensitive. But things that are time sensitive, you should say, when should it be completed? If it's something that you're doing on a regular basis, like we have our June 19th World Sickle Cell Day fundraiser every June 19th, is like clockwork. So by January, certain things should be done. By March, certain other things should be done. So that's when it's like, when should it be completed? So some things are exact date, some things are a roundabout. Then how, what are the exact steps? What are the exact steps? What should we do? How should I go through these exact steps? I should call somebody at a certain time. I should make sure this email goes out. I should make sure that I have a response for these emails. That's the how. What are the exact steps? And then success, what does a completed task look like? For the MCS Fund June 19th fundraiser, no matter what we do, because we do something different every single year, the goal is to bring in $5,000. So we kind of missed our goal this year. We had a brunch and it was a little short, but that's the goal. So we have a goal. So as we are raising funds to help people that are affected with sickle cell, that's the goal. We want to bring in $5,000. Ooh, y'all, my time done went already and I made point number 3. Point number 3 real fast. Train others to follow the system. That's it in a nutshell. Point number 3. Train others to follow the system. A system only adds value when others can successfully use it. Point number 3, train others to follow the system. Training develops confidence and creates accountability. Leaders multiply themselves by teaching others, not by doing everything themselves. So as a leader, it is my job, my responsibility to train others to do the things that I cannot do because I have other things to do. And as a leader, you cannot do everything. You need team members that you can train to follow the system. And sometimes in the beginning, I'm going to tell you, in the beginning, you have to take the time to take the time. So it won't always be like that. But in the beginning, especially as you're creating your SOPs, you have to take the time. My last secretary for my nonprofit, she didn't know how to do Eventbrite. She didn't know how to do job forms. It was a lot of things that she just didn't know how to do, but she had the right heart. She had the right spirit, and I wanted to work with her. So because I wanted to work with her, we would take time out and do an hour Zoom and either watch a YouTube video on how to, and then we would go in and I would be right there with her, holding her hand until she got it mastered. As a leader, you have to take the time to bring people along. One of the things that I always get from people, they say, well, you have such an amazing team and they can do this and do that, but they didn't understand that I had to take the time to take the time. So they weren't always this amazing team, right? I took the time to help them to develop and be what it is that they were able to be. So you have to take the time to help people be what they're able to be. And having that eyesight and that foresight, even in ministry. So in ministry, my husband and I, we see people, they come in, they're a little rough around the edges. We was like, but I see something really great in them. We have to take the time. But this is a caveat too. Don't make the mistake of putting more energy into somebody who don't want it. Bring tears to my eyes. Sometimes You want more for others than they want for themselves. So if I'm going to take the time and pour into you, make sure that you want it. If you're going to take the time to pour into somebody, make sure they want it. Because some people say they want it, but they don't want to take the time. They don't want to put in the work. They don't want to do the training. For me, I'm a lifelong learner. I cannot learn too much. I want to learn something new every single day because I want to grow and develop every single day. And I want to be around other individuals that want to grow and develop every single day. So we got like 4 more minutes. I want to make sure that I give you all my leadership tips that I wrote down. Leadership challenge for the week. Complete the Teach It Forward challenge. Select one important task that only you know how to do. So this is the Teach It Forward challenge. Select something that you do in your business, your organization, your ministry that only you can do. And by the end of the week, document the process, create a simple checklist, train one person to perform that task. Evaluate whether they can complete it without your direct involvement over time, okay? Because in the beginning, like I said, as you're taking the time to take the time, somebody is not going to be able to complete it. And then you have to release yourself and know they're not going to do it exactly the way that you do it, and then you're going to have to be okay with that. They're not going to do it exactly the way that you do it, but you're going to have to be okay with that. So if you're going to build sustainable systems that can grow, that can develop into these great companies, these great ministries, these amazing nonprofit organizations, you have to know as you bring in others, they're not going to do everything the way that you do it, and you have to be okay with that. So as the leader, as the founder of certain organizations, as my husband and I become master builders and help other people build the visions that God has placed on the inside of them, we can give you the information and we have to step back and allow you to create it the way that you see it. A real example, and then I'm going to get off of here. We got 1 minute. Have y'all ever read a book? And then when you read a book, you have this whole visual in your mind of what it looks like. And then somebody took that book and turned it into a movie. And then you went to go see the movie. And you like, I didn't see it like this in my mind when I was reading the book. But that just goes to show you everybody's mind's eye has a different vision. So when I share the dream, you want certain things have to be done exactly the way to the T to the order. But some things can be navigated to a different capacity to be done differently. And you have to be okay with that. Are y'all okay with that? So I think I've given y'all everything that I wanted to give y'all today. I want to go back and repeat. This is a month of new beginnings. And in the month of new beginnings, for the month of August, we're going to be talking about every Monday at 12:30. Set your notifications, come back on and check me out next Monday at 12:30. So today, the theme for August is build systems that support the vision. Build systems that support the vision. And then today, what we talked about was creating repeatable processes. Creating repeatable processes. And the main thing for that repeatable process is that SOP. That SOP is so important as you grow as a ministry, as a business, and in a nonprofit field. Well, my time is up. I want to thank you guys for yours. Again, I'm Teresa S. McCurry, the CIO, Chief Inspirational Officer of Super T Inspires. And I'm also the co-founder of McCurry Ministries International. And I want you guys to be blessed, but most of all, be inspired. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.